A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Pendrith ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament, also seeking his first PGA Tour victory. He went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in two, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
Do Leafs fans stop watching hockey now, or do they root for other Canadian teams, Cam?
No, I'm not a proponent of that, and it's actually kind of bothered me that, like, all the people in Toronto are kind of like, oh, now I'm going to cheer for the Oilers. Like, why? What was your affiliation with the Oilers? Like, Canucks still exist. Like, I don't lose automatically and say, yeah, you know, I'm going to cheer for the Ottawa Senators because they're Canadian. No, I cheer for my bats.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
A lot of books, and outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in game one of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a minus 115 Canes, Rangers minus 105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. We've got a couple of games going on, big-time stuff. We're down to the Final Four in both leagues. The Dallas Mavericks are up 69-68. 7 minutes left in the third quarter of play. Very entertaining and close basketball game, similar to last night. This game has been pretty high scoring, yet it's starting to slow down a little bit right now. We're on the over of this game, and I readjusted quickly as I bet the over 207.5, but it was going over, and I cashed out with a profit, and I rolled it all over on over 212.5. I was like, I'm going to bet the 212.5 anyway, so I might as well just roll this over and try to really, it's like doubling it up. It's almost like a mini parlay, cashing out, rolling it over again, and it's on pace. So we've got over 212.5. Right now. That's the number I'm gunning for, 212.5 right now. 73-69 Wolves. The in-game total is 222.5. The Wolves are laying 3.5, 220 on the money line, 170 on the money line back, plus 170 on the money line back for the Dallas Mavericks right now. I think this game's going to come down to the wire. We're on the Mavericks plus 5 points. I bought a half a point, laid 20 cents, minus 120. Mavs plus 5, it was 4.5. So I think it's going to be a close game all the way through. Kyrie Irving has been unbelievable, taking it to the rack. An explosive first half, 24 points scored in the first half for Kyrie Irving. Luka and Kyrie are carrying the Mavericks. They're going to need some production from some other people. They're sort of getting it. A couple of dudes have hit a couple of shots inside after Luka's hooked them up. But it's a fun game, man. They're battling hard. And you can feel the energy of Minnesota. There's different levels of energy. All buildings are loud and stuff, but it's different when your team has never won before. It just is. And especially when your team has never won before, and you actually believe, the fans believe, you know what? This is the year we're going to win the championship. And it starts to build. Like watching Minnesota, it reminds me a lot of the Raptors. Just hear the craziness with each shot, each bucket, each game to get closer. Like I said, the T-Wolves have been in the league a long time. They haven't had a lot of success. They've been bad for a long time, right? And I was thinking about this just, as this game was going on a couple of minutes ago. We're going to have to look it up just off the top of my head. But when was the last time a team from Minnesota won a championship? The Minnesota Twins? And when was that? What year was that great game with the Braves? Best baseball game I ever saw. I should remember the damn year. Let me see. It would have been, what year was that? 1990, 92, 91, 1990? No, I'm going to say 92. I'm going to say it was like 91 or 92. We'll look it up exactly. When did the Minnesota Twins win? When they beat the Braves 1-0 in Game 7. Jack Morris and John Schmaltz. Great game. Awesome game. Best baseball game I've ever seen. And, the Minnesota Wild, there was the North Stars. The North Stars never won. The Minnesota Wild have never won. They've come back, and they're just mediocre. The Minnesota Vikings, passionate fans. Minnesota are a lot like Buffalo. Buffalo, of course, lost the 4 Super Bowls. The Vikings were the Bills of the 70s. The Vikings used to get to the Super Bowl like almost every second year in the 70s and lose in the Fran Tarkenton era, right? And when the Dolphins were good and the Steelers were good and the Raiders were good in the 70s. And so, like I said, the Minnesota teams, the Vikings have been nothing but disappointment throughout their entire history and frustration for their fans. And we all know the Vikings have hardcore fans, right? So they've been frustrated. The T-Wolves have never done anything. The hockey team sucks, and they love hockey there. And the Minnesota Twins. The Twins won, 30 years ago? You know what I'm saying? 27 years ago, whatever the hell it was. So we're talking about a city that's starved, right? Like, people talk a lot about Buffalo. People talk about Cleveland and sort of like some cities that are known for heartbreak and losing. But, Minneapolis, St. Paul has been right there. And they've had a lot of unrest and issues over the past couple of years there too. So it would be good to unite people, bring people together, and have a championship. But you can feel the energy. It doesn't mean they're going to win because the fans have energy. I tell you what, there's Kyrie Irving taking it to the rack again. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Kyrie Irving, the guy really is. It's funny for a dude that's as small as he is. He really is one of the best post players in the history of the NBA. Nobody can finish like this guy. Amongst the giants, Kyrie Irving just flies in, man, and it's unbelievable how he scores in the paint. He never misses. Just great stuff. A lot of fun to watch. So 79-77, this game. Bodies are flying all over the place. I got to tell you, watching this game, it almost has an NBA Finals feel to it. There's something about it. It's just wow, this is tense. And I think both teams sort of get it. I think Dallas, they all watched the game last night. I think Dallas saw the Pacers let them off the hook and know we've got to win on the road. And the best time to win on the road is a game 1 situation. So we'll keep our eye on this basketball game, obviously. NHL hockey. The third period has just started. It's 1-0 for the Florida Panthers. There hasn't been a lot of offense in this game. Hard-hitting, very competitive hockey game. Rangers having a hard time getting anything going offensively, but 1-0 in-game total right now is 3.5, but the under 3.5 is minus 230, so it's a big-time price right there. We only played two bets for this hockey game. We played under 5.5, and I played the game to go to overtime at plus 280. Yeah, we're going to get into the game to go to overtime prop a little bit later on and about why it's not such a good bet before the game started. It really isn't. And in fact, I'll just throw it out here right now. I've talked about this. I bet a lot of these overtime things, and so you get plus 280 before the game. Dude, it was plus 250 after the first period, plus 240. So what's the point of even taking a damn risk of the game going to overtime? If it's going to, even if it's tied after the first period, we talk about it all the time. A lot of times a hockey game will be tied after the second period, and you'll get plus 175, plus 180 to go to overtime, and you've already got 2 periods done. I'm starting to wonder if it's even worth the risk of jumping off the cliff first at plus 280. I'd rather just get plus 220 or something after the first period, right? It's kind of a weird number how they do it, but 1-0 in the hockey game. Our under is looking really good, and hey, maybe this, we're 1 goal away from this potentially going to overtime. We posted a Major League Baseball parlay for you. Everybody around the Toronto Blue Jays is panicking right now, and I understand it's been a frustrating start to the season for the Blue Jays. But in baseball, man, you can't flip out in May. You know, and now you've started a firestorm. I see Cub fans. Should we trade for Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero? Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero are on the trade market. But if you're Toronto Blue Jays, you don't handle this properly, you're just going to start a circus-like atmosphere around your baseball team. Me personally, I think the Blue Jays' problem is their manager. He's too uptight. The guy's a nut job. Like, he should be in the WWE. All right? And this is coming from someone that knows rage. John Schneider's got too much rage, man. All right? He's not like a savvy enough baseball guy. He's just sort of a nut job. And players know this, right? Like, Schneider can't help anybody on the team. That's what I'm getting at. Like, Schneider does not have the baseball sort of to pull anybody aside and go, listen, this is your problem. You know, you're twitching, your footwork, this. No. Schneider sits in the dugout, yells at umpires, talks smack to the opposing team, talks trash to players. And the atmosphere, you could just tell when a baseball team's not having fun. We talked about that with San Diego last year. You could just tell it was like work to them. The Blue Jays, it's like work to them. I've seen this with the Dodgers before, and it's all about the manager setting a tone. I like the fact that they brought back their stupid home run jacket tonight. More on the other side. Let's roll. This is Sports Rage.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in two, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Devastating loss to Georgia Tech, where they made significant coaching errors, but Miami, with all of these changes, obviously looking to churn over this roster and upgrade the talent level.
Don't sleep on Rick Pitino. Listen, at the end of the day, the portal is the portal, Mike. Don't matter where you came from, it's where you're going and how much money can you get.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. 80-79 for the Dallas Mavericks. We got a good one. Ironically, we got a 1-point game in basketball. We got a 1-goal game in hockey. 1-0 for the Florida Panthers. They played about 4.5 minutes of the third period of play. The in-game total's dipped all the way to 2.5 right now. Over 2.5 is minus 270, under 2.5 plus 210. The Rangers are paying back plus 320 right now. Only down a goal. Minus 450. I usually, always give everybody a pick for everything. And this, I was more vanilla with my approach. I attack these series, as we talked about, both NHL playoff series to go over 5.5 games at plus 128, parlay together. Tonight's game, I like the under. I was like, this game's playing to the under tonight. This is going to be a set-the-tone defensive battle between two teams. They're going to try to beat each other up. And I like the under 5.5. And we all know how close this is going to be. So I said, you know what? Let's play the overtime at plus 280. So I didn't even pick a side. Right? I just want the series to go 6 games, and I got the under in this game. Let's bring Cam Stewart in and Brady Cannon. And Cam, who are you on in this game right now with the Panthers and the Rangers?
Great call with the under. It's 1-0, and this is going to the way the series is going to play out. These teams just kill each other, and they both have great goaltender. I got Florida tonight, so we'll see what happens. I told you I got the Rangers in the series, so I'm a weak man, Morency. I know you told me you hate Edward Scissorhands, the movie, and the concept of hedging, but I have to when I have money on futures with the Rangers to win the East. So I'm in. Chop, chop. Go Panthers.
No, I don't believe in hedging. I believe in finding an alternative on the way out. And our boy Brady Cannon had some Vancouver Canuck futures in his back pocket that unfortunately did not cash, but that's okay because Xander Schauffele finally did. And I owe Brady an apology because I said, well, I got to question your sanity by having Xander at the top of your card. And of course, I literally bet this guy for like 3 or 4 years. But the only reason I'm not really upset about it is because I abandoned shit like last year. Like I finally had tapped out. So it's not like, oh, this is the first time I didn't bet him. I did tap out. But he gets it done, and he gets it done in wire-to-wire fashion. And I know this is super cliche to say, Brady, because, oh, no, now that he's won a major, watch out, he's going to rack him up. But now that he's won a major, watch out, he's going to rack him up. He doesn't have the pressure anymore. He can play freely. He knows I can go wire to wire, and now he'll have a comeback in him at some point. His confidence level will be sky high moving forward, Brady. Now, I'm not saying he's going to win 10 majors, but he has another major or 2 in him in his career, I believe.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I think this unlocks an incredible amount of pressure and weight off of his shoulders. We know the guy's darn good. I think there's a lot of people out there that would argue he's the second best player in the world. And especially after last week, he looks like
one of the most consistent players in the world, isn't he? Let's call it for what it is.
Totally.
Like as far as top 5 on a yearly basis, guys?
Yes.
We said that, I think, too, on the show last week, Gabe. The best bet you probably can make at a major championship, and certainly last week, was Xander Schauffele top 10 finish, right? And I think it was about plus 150. Not a bad price either.
We did the top 5 and 10. I'm scared about him closing, Brady, but if you remember, because I keep all the tweets and stuff, you had the guts to take him outright. I told Gabe I can't take the pain with this guy anymore. And let's remember one thing, too. He won an Olympic gold, too. So there have been moments in his life where he has stepped up, Gabe, and I couldn't agree with you more. This is exactly what happened with Scotty Scheffler. People don't remember. This guy was a second-place machine. And when he broke through, he went nuts. So it's one of those things in golf. Once you get that big one, I think good things are going to happen. And I agree with you guys. I think he's going to be huge.
I used to hang my hat on that.
For first-round leader, too. You know, we really had the guy every which way. Yeah.
Because that must be really sweet if you hit a first round. And how rare is that a guy will win the first round and then actually win the tournament? So it must be so sweet when you hit them both, huh?
That's real sweet.
You know, I get so geeked up for the major championships. I was sitting there in bed on Wednesday night after this show, kind of screwing around on the phone. And I did a little, 10, 15-minute quick handicap of the first round leader. I'm like, okay, who makes a lot of birdies? Who doesn't make a lot of bogeys? Who has a good first round scoring average? A couple other things. I'm like, okay, give me Xander, Sam Burns, Billy Horschel, and Shane Lowry. Lowry had one of the low rounds of the tournament. It was just on the wrong day, but I got Xander with his 62, and I tweeted it out, and I went out of town the next day, and Cam and Tommy and all the guys, the crew here at SportsGrid, they're all texting me and stuff going, I think we got it. He's going to do it. So it was a great sweat on Thursday.
If you guys recall, I know Cam had him. Remember I said, the guy I like is Bryson. And he was right there.
Yeah.
I came close to nailing that, too. I was like,
another second place.
Dude, that's 2 majors in a row for Bryson, and he's killed it coming from the Live Tour. He was great in Augusta, Cam, and now he was great here again.
He's getting the conversation now that, in fact, I just saw Podrug Harrington say, golf needs Bryson back. because when you're on live, it's like you're on an island. Nobody really sees you. And I've warmed up to Bryson a little bit. I'm still glad that he did not win, but I think he's maturing. I think he's still somewhat of a goofball, but he's becoming a lot more likable. And as far as an entertainment factor, golf does need him back.
But Koepka's one of those guys, too. Remember in this feud? He's the guy that looks more like a jackass now. He's picking fights with guys, Gabe. And now DeChambeau's like, I'm doing better than you in tournaments now, bro. Like, that's the one thing. Be careful what you do. You know?
I knew it was bad karma for Koepka when he took shade and he threw that shade at Rory by posting a picture of his wife in a bikini.
Yeah, never good. Yeah, not a good move.
I don't know if you guys remember. Like Rory announced his divorce, and then like an hour later, Brooks Koepka posted a picture of him and his wife all smiling. And she was like poolside. It was like, dude, like,
what's your deal?
No, I know.
Like,
I was thinking,
really in bad
you got a major golf tournament in like 24 hours. What do you care? Like, what are you doing? This is pretty juvenile. I thought it was weird too. I was like, bad karma, Brooks. I don't know. Something that you wouldn't expect from Brooks Koepka, actually.
He snapped too, Gabe.
I don't know.
No, you do.
He's kind of the villain now. Like, remember when Bryson was walking with spikes? He's like, jackass, right? When he walked by him. And
behind him.
Yeah, he's like, I hate this guy.
In hindsight, he kind of overreacted too. Hey, DeChambeau, what do you want DeChambeau to do? It's like, who cares? He walked behind your shot on TV.
He's on the path. Like, cut him some slack, Jack. Anyway,
Brooks is the kind of guy. Brooks is the kind of guy, Gabe, that you love him when you got money on him, but you despise him when you don't.
Yeah. It's good.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendriff ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in two, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Devastating loss to Georgia Tech, where they made significant coaching errors, but Miami, with all of these changes, obviously looking to churn over this roster and upgrade the talent level.
Don't sleep on Rick Pitino. Listen, at the end of the day, the portal is the portal, Mike. Don't matter where you came from, it's where you're going and how much money can you get.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
Well, we got to check in live with the Situation Room in Toronto right now once again. There's been a lot of potential goalie interference calls in the NHL playoffs, more than usual, because it's such a gray area. They've always gone back and forth with the rules in the NHL, unwritten rules, written rules. In the old days, it was just sort of a free-for-all. You can get in the goalie's face, you could be in the crease, and they never really called goalie interference. Then we had all that. You're not allowed in the crease unless you're Brett Hull. And now we're sort of once again in a gray area. But, well, you're allowed in the crease, but you can't touch anybody. And they said no goal. I don't know what the hell a goal is anymore. I want to see the highlight again. I just saw the goal briefly, Cam. I thought it was a goal personally. I was like, that's not interference. That's not interference.
My whole life, you played goal. Part of it is to fight through the turbulence in front of the net, and good goalies know how to do it. The guy got cross-checked by the Rangers.
Yeah, but every game now, Cam, but the calls are never the same.
I know.
Sometimes it's a goal, sometimes it's not a goal. The NHL, I tweeted this last week. I said, it's going to be the Stanley Cup Finals. We're going to have a big problem with this. And it's to the point now where I would just push players into the goalie all the time and just let them review it after. I'll be like, all right, since we don't really know what they're going to do with this anyways, we might as well just take the chance and just slam the defenseman into the goalie and see if we get away with this. Now, here it is. Here's the replay here. See, the goalie wasn't even touched.
I know.
Like that. So like he wasn't interfered with at all. He was blinded. He couldn't see the puck because a body was flying in front of him, but that's a baffling decision. Yet, like I said, every damn playoff game, man, they've been inconsistent with their calls. Okay, I want to get to let's get to something. We're going to get to all the picks, but we got the best of X. If we can get this rolling, Tommy. If anybody's betting on the Eastern Tennessee men's golf team this weekend, you probably shouldn't because their clubs are a little damaged. Hit the tape. Here's Eastern Tennessee. Delta Airlines. They're traveling to San Diego for a golf tournament. There's their bags and their clubs. Eastern Tennessee's men's golf team. Nice of Delta to handle our clubs with such care.
Oh, no.
Wow. Look at these guys just tossing
wow,
the
they're
bags.
manhandling though. I love it. Holy jeez.
We all know that this stuff happens, but it's jarring when you actually see it.
Jarring
Delta,
in more ways than one.
Yeah, Delta says. Yeah, they said they're going to hook them up with any clubs or anything. They said anything you guys need, anything that was damaged. It's to Delta's defense. They weren't Delta employees. It was a Delta flight. Airports, like airlines, don't have their own. Airports hire their own personnel on the tarmacs. Not the airline that is doing it. So they arrived in San Diego. So San Diego airport staff that should be getting called out. But Delta's getting blamed for it because they're airlines. But it's not what you want to see if you're traveling with some nice golf clubs, Brady.
Yeah,
No. It was pretty classic. I didn't really invest. I just kind of saw this flash across my screen, but it looked like somebody, somehow made up a tweet that was like a response from Delta that said, "Might be time to get iron head covers."
No, yeah, that was fake. I saw that. That was fake too.
Yeah.
People are fake. Yeah.
Pretty good.
But what wasn't fake though is Delta's response online. They're like, so what's your problem specifically? Contact us via DM. It's like, what's our problem? You're throwing our golf bags on video. Like that's the problem. But no, there wasn't. And I wish I had the tweet actually. It's funny you say that, Brady, because last week, Scotty Scheffler, of course, we all know about the arrest. There was a tweet out. Remember, it was Detective Giles, the cop that he ran over. Somebody created a fake Twitter account, Detective Giles, Louisville Police Department. No, but Cameron, what they did is they put it, and they said, if you're a betting man, I have a feeling Scotty Scheffler doesn't finish the tournament. Bet him not to make the cut, Detective Giles.
Yeah.
And people believed it. They're like, we arrested him. You see he's betting and stuff. It's like, no, it's fake, you idiots. Like,
guy goes to the clink and finishes top 10.
What a world. Like, it's a brilliant idea. I love the idea if you're a cop. I love the idea. Imagine that. That's a movie right there. You're a degenerate gambler cop, and you just bust the pitcher game 7 on the way to the game. You're under arrest.
Exactly.
I mean, we'll sort out the charges in 24 hours and the game's over.
Yeah.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in two, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Devastating loss to Georgia Tech, where they made significant coaching errors, but Miami, with all of these changes, obviously looking to churn over this roster and upgrade the talent level.
Don't sleep on Rick Pitino. Listen, at the end of the day, the portal is the portal, Mike. Don't matter where you came from, it's where you're going and how much money can you get.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. At times, it's easy to take some players that we see all the time for granted. And especially in the modern era, there's so much talk about, well, they haven't won. They didn't win this and win, blah, blah, blah. But I got to tell you, man, Luka Doncic is really just like un-effing believable. He's like a mix of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. It's like the dude, like he pulls up for these jumpers, and just the smoothness, so soft. Like he just sort of like softly just shoots the ball. And you're like, oh, that's going in. And his passes, just unbelievable stuff. Great basketball game. And Luka's taking over right now. He just hit a couple of nice little smooth floaters in a row. 2-point shots still count, people. All right? The mid-range still matters. And Luka's just hit a couple of mid-range shots. 91-89 Mavericks right now. The new number is basically a pick 'em. The T-Wolves are -115. The Mavericks are also -115. Up 91-89. In-game total is 220.5 right now. All right, so Brady, let's get to some golf and your picks. But what a wild sequence last week. So Xander wins. And, of course, we have the Scotty Scheffler incident that nobody had on their prop card. Scotty Scheffler getting arrested. Unfortunately, we didn't cash that bet. That was just such a surreal moment. And you figure Scotty would say, you know what, let's take some time off right now. But this guy loves to play golf, and it was amazing what he did last week. Just a wild week. But I think it was almost good for golf. It got people talking about the PGA Tour. And now Scotty Scheffler, plus 275. The closest odds behind him is Colin Morikawa, 12-1 right now.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, Gabe. And I kind of thought that too. You know, I didn't know what to quite think about Scotty Scheffler coming off of that week. And that's why I didn't touch him this week. He's had very good success at this tournament before. It's in his backyard in Fort Worth, Texas. He lost in a playoff to Sam Burns a couple of years ago here. But, you know, coming back home to his wife and his newborn after the week he had last week, I think he probably a little bit of him just wants to exhale and say, wow, you know, let's catch up on what we did last week and had a brand new baby and yada, yada, because all of that other stuff was pretty weird there for a minute. Now, the golf course at the same time, I believe, is his sanctuary, and he'll probably, you know, post another top 10 this week. But I bet him, and I was telling this to Cam at the break. I bet Scotty to win the U.S. Open. I think the course is perfect for him, and I think he's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder coming in because he didn't exactly get a fair shake, it seems, at the PGA Championship, and I think he's going to be out for blood at Pinehurst next month. I did land on the second shortest shot, Colin Morikawa. Guy's been playing beautifully as of late. I mean, this guy just was tied for the lead on Sunday at a massive golf course that is not supposed to cater to shorter hitters, but he did it with driving accuracy and he did it with short game, and that's exactly what you need around Colonial, where Morikawa, by the way, has finished runner-up before. So I went with him again, second straight week. I'm on my neighbor here in Las Vegas, Denny McCarthy at 50-1. Guy finished sixth 2 weeks ago at the Wells Fargo, another big boy golf course, but he missed the cut at the PGA. I think 2 weeks in a row of big boy driver-heavy golf was probably too much for Denny McCarthy, a shorter hitter on tour. Now he's at a course where he can work that ball, a positional golf course, same thing where he always does well, at Sony, at Sea Island, at Harbor Town, that type of smaller positional course, right up the alley for Denny McCarthy. Just finished second, lost in a playoff last month at the Valero, Texas. I think the form is fine, and he'll show up again this week. Then Cam and I are both on Andrew Putnam. Same type of profile. This guy, he finished 53rd at the PGA Championship last week, ranked 73rd in the field for driving distance, but he was gaining strokes to the putter and gaining strokes around the green. And again, that's what you need to do around Colonial. Guys finished third here before, top 10 at the Sony, all the correlated stuff. I think he'll be in the mix. And then I went with the Florida Gator, Billy Horschel, who's just been on a roll, also at 55-1. Won last month at the Corrales Punta Cana, finished eighth at the PGA. He is just rolling right now, and he's done well at all the correlated courses. Sea Island, the Harbor Town, TPC Southwind. He's had a number of good finishes. So I think the red-hot play continues for Billy Horschel. I got a 5-pack for you this week, guys. Oh, I missed Bezuidenhout, the South African, also 50-1. Same type of profile. Great short game. Accurate off the tee, works the ball in both directions, and has real good form with a 9th at the Valspar, a 13th at the Players' Championship, and a 16th a couple weeks ago at the Wells Fargo.
What do you think, Cam?
Love it. I think Bezuidenhout is a perfect course for him to break through. He's been close before. Billy Horschel's a hot player, as Brady talked about. And I got a bet boost with Morikawa, Gabe. Next to Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele, I would say Morikawa is probably one of the best golfers in form right now. He is playing great golf. His putter let him down on Sunday. If he putted average, he could have been there in the mix with Schauffele and Bryson DeChambeau in that tournament, but he just missed too many damn putts. So Morikawa, his ball striking is elite right now, and that's very good recipe for Colonial. I have him as well.
A player that I'm looking at, but I see you don't like him, Brady, so I'll ask why. Max Homa. What do you think about Max Homa this week, and how come he didn't make your cut?
I don't think it's the right course for him. And Max really, it was kind of his major coming out showing party, if you will, at the Masters, where he was absolutely in the mix. And he had that rap against him that, he's never done anything in majors, which he hadn't. And then he came out and he showed us that he's a pretty darn good player. And people kind of went back to the well with him at the PGA, and he's done well on that type of golf course before, for sure. But I don't know. I think trying to time Max Homa is difficult. When he's going to peak, when he's going to valley, I think it's hard to get him right because, he's very forthcoming with what his thoughts are and the mental state of his game. But I think he's kind of hard to read sometimes. And, I think the guy really has game for any course because sometimes he shows up on a shorter track. Sometimes he shows up on the big boy. He really is becoming a world-class player, right? He's top 10 in the world. But I think Colonial is going to tend to go to maybe that tier B player who, like a Denny McCarthy, that is searching for that first win or that really thrives in these shorter positional accuracy.
An older guy, potentially.
Courses.
An older player.
There's been a lot of veterans that win here, too. Chris Kirk, Kevin Na. Yeah, absolutely. So
it's true.
Homa's fantastic, but he just didn't make as much sense for me this week as he might on another course.
I like him, Gabe. I like him. I just, we can't, and it's not like we talk about golf guys who have 40 picks. You got to make a choice. And I got Spieth at 22, right? Instead of home at 22. That was my thing. I think Spieth will play well in his hometown track and maybe he can get it back, but I have no problems with that Homa pick. If his putter's good, he'll be there. Homa is one of the best players in the world. I think it's a good price.
What about, I'm not saying he can win, but Lucas Glover at 70-1?
I think that's more your type of player. Great top 20 pick. I mean, he won at TPC Southwind last year, which is a correlated course for me. Narrow corridors, work the ball in both directions, smaller putting surfaces, and Glover was red hot at the end of last year. And this is absolutely the type of course for Lucas Glover. Top 20, and maybe you sprinkle a little on an outright. Sure. The putting is kind of fallen off again. He found that putting stroke at the end of last year, and then now he's kind of lost it again. But the ball striking has never gone away for Lucas Glover.
Who else are you looking at, Cam?
I'm looking at, I got Morikawa. I'm looking at Jordan Spieth. I like Brian Harman a lot this week. Those odds to me, I got him at 40. I think this guy is a perfect player for this type of golf course. He keeps it in play. Hoagie sandwich, Gabe, a lot of the time we take a bite and it's been mayonnaise like Homer Simpson. It's still good, but it's been in the sun and I get food poisoning. But I'm coming back with the sandwich. Putnam and Adam Schenk fits the bill at 80-1.
You're a big man to take speech, but I said that last week about Xander. All right, we'll wrap up with Brady on the other side.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in two, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Devastating loss to Georgia Tech, where they made significant coaching errors, but Miami, with all of these changes, obviously looking to churn over this roster and upgrade the talent level.
Don't sleep on Rick Pitino. Listen, at the end of the day, the portal is the portal, Mike. Don't matter where you came from, it's where you're going and how much money can you get.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. We're kicking it with Cam Stewart and Brady Cannon on the SportsGrid radio and television networks. I'm looking at the card here, guys, and next week the Canadian Open is coming up, right? Yep. So I'm looking, Cam. The Canadian guys seem to have taken the week off this week for the most part.
Yep. They want to play really, really well in the national championship, coming off Nick Taylor's win at 80-1. That tournament was absolutely fantastic. I don't know how you feel,
Svensson
Brady.
is playing. Adam Svensson's playing this week.
Yep.
He needs to a bit because he needs a little bit more money than the other guys that finished a few tournaments higher. But it's at Hamilton, right, Brady? Is it at Hamilton Golf and Country Club?
Oakville.
Yeah,
old tree-line course. Yeah, it's very
and
good.
That's where Rory. That's where Rory won recently, right?
Yes. The thing about Jim Furyk also raved about that course. He said it's one of my favorite courses in Canada, that and Shaughnessy in Gabe's backyard and beat British Columbia. But the thing about Hamilton is they can make it really hard with the rough because it's a tree line course, or these guys just might eat it up. I hope the CPGA says, let's kind of make this a major, and like let's let these guys struggle a bit. But if they don't grow the rough, they're going to go really low here. That's the problem.
Would you go back to the well with Tommy Fleetwood again? He was the guy that lost in that playoff to Taylor, and he seems to fit that type of golf course. Narrow fairways, keep it out of the rough, ball striker. I could see him, flashing again at that tournament next week.
A Canadian hadn't won that tournament in 60 years, 56, whatever, since the 30s or whatever the hell it was, right? Yeah, Pat Fletcher. 1954, I think, off the top of my head, 1954 or something. So, it sounds crazy, but I wouldn't be shocked if it goes back to back. Somebody else does it now.
Sure.
Another Canadian steps up.
Canadian players there's a
They're
lot
fired
of really
up for
good
this.
players. Yeah.
And I want to say one thing, too.
President's Cup, too.
I know the waste management turned into a wasted management for real this year. It was out of control.
Jeez, what a mess.
But the Canadian Open last year was almost tone picture perfect. They had this perfect balance, man. If you guys remember, they set up hockey boards everywhere. So it sort of had a hockey feel, fans are leaning on hockey boards. Everybody was double fisting beer, but a positive vibe, following everyone. Everyone really loud. The players really liked it. I think it's a good idea to make it a fun tournament, the Canadian Open, because to make it stand out a bit.
Great call, Gabe. And another thing is they put Glen Abbey and Angus Glen and all these dirt courses in the mix. It's enough, man. Hamilton Golf and Country. Jim Furyk was a big part. He's
no, they should come out west. They should go to Banff.
Yes.
Canada has beautiful looking golf. Go to Newfoundland or something. Play on the ocean. Nova Scotia. Right? But it's always the same damn places. Oakville, Toronto, Angus Glen, you know what I mean? Same old crowd.
I think you bring up a great point as well, Gabe. I was really engaged in that tournament last year, and you saw the fans. You saw them with a couple beers, but they were well behaved. And then you had the Adam Hadwin moment when he got tackled by the security guard. I mean, that brought a whole new life to that golf tournament and that coverage. It's like you say with Scotty Scheffler and the PGA. I do believe that was good for golf. I think it was fantastic for Scotty Scheffler. My wife's going, she's texting me, what's going on with this guy Scheffler? She's never mentioned the word Scotty Scheffler in her life. And it's like reality TV merged with a golf tournament, and everybody was like, what's going on here? I want to know. And you saw those fans backing him the very next day, free Scotty, the T-shirts. So, and I totally agree with you. The same type of viral vibe there that I think the Canadian Open got last year, with the huge putt by Nick Taylor too.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, looking forward to see how it plays out. And you mentioned you got the President's Cup coming up at the Royal Montreal Golf Club. Very difficult course to play on. They're going to be really fired up for that tournament. That's going to be off the hook in September.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
You're so right.
You're going to go, Cam, right?
I want to. I almost want to go to the Canadian Open this week too. And Gabe brings up a great point. We have some of the best courses in the world, and sometimes it's not just about the fans and whatever. You got to show Canada's courses. He's right. The East Coast on the with rocks and the water and where he is. Shaughnessy was one of the best Canadian Opens ever. The winning score I think was 4 under. It was John Daly and was there and Bovan. I remember that tournament. I'm like they made it a major.
It comes down to corporate sponsorship, and all the money, Cam, is in Toronto. All the banks.
Yeah,
right?
RBC.
They're all Bay Street bootlickers that go to Leaf games.
That's right. Those
as I say,
Leaf fans, they're
bunch of
ruining
Leaf
everything.
fans, Bay Street, but Bay Street's like Wall Street of Canada. Brady. And the arena where the Leafs play is on Bay Street. So I call their fans the Bay Street bootlickers. They show up. Yeah. They're looking at their phones. They're doing their stock trades, and they're like, "All right, time to leave now." Right?
I gotta go.
They're making more money than the players are, right?
They are. It was great.
You also have to have some venues that connect. Oh yeah,
Like,
that was
and,
cool.
yeah, and the thing is, they
he
used to
became
put the
best
boards
friends
up
with Tommy Fleetwood.
Yes, they put up the boards at Glen Abbey, but it worked better at the other course. It was just the way the fans were. Gabe, you said it was like perfect. We weren't too wasted. It was that was the best Canadian Open in years, hands down.
Yep,
it was amazing.
I would agree.
I hope they could duplicate it.
Hopefully, I think they can. Hamilton likes to have a good time. They can party in the Hammer.
And I think again, it brought attention to that golf tournament. I think I think you're likely to have a better field because guys are still going to want to prep for the U.S. Open, but it won't be too close to the U.S. Open where they want to stay away. And it got a lot of attention that golf tournament and that result last year. So no, I think it's in a pretty good spot to have another real good showing.
Well, I hope Rory McIlroy is tuning in. You mentioned Rory. Rory's very popular in Canada, actually.
Yes.
He's gone to a lot of Raptor games in the past. I was just going to say, talking about Rory, I think he would like this segment because we just talked all this golf. We didn't bring up his personal life, as I see a lot of people in the golf media are, and we will not. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
But
you can't
I think
bet
we
on
might
that,
have lost
so we
the
don't
connection.
talk about it. I guess you actually can bet on that now. I have seen that.
Oh, you can bet on everything now. I'm sure there's a British book. Who will be his new girlfriend?
Yeah.
Taylor Swift?
I don't know how to handicap.
Nelly Korda? What about Nelly Korda? They could be a super couple. She's won 6 out of 7 last women's tournament. She's an animal. She won again, Gabe. That Nelly Korda is unreal. She is so damn good.
I mean, we're sitting here talking about Scheffler. My goodness. Talk about a
I'm just going to keep betting on her.
What about Scheffler and Korda? Yeah, you might as well.
This game's getting crazy. It's 104-102 with $1.23 left. I've got it over 212.5. Ooh, it's getting close.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brady.
Later,
You
Brady.
got it, guys. Have fun.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Pendrith ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Devastating loss to Georgia Tech, where they made significant coaching errors, but Miami, with all of these changes, obviously looking to churn over this roster and upgrade the talent level.
Don't sleep on Rick Pitino. Listen, at the end of the day, the portal is the portal, Mike. Don't matter where you came from, it's where you're going and how much money can you get.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. Shout out to our boy Jack, JC, who's normally a master control in New Jersey, with us on a nightly basis. But like me, it's the playoffs, so he took the night out to go watch his favorite hockey team, the New York Rangers, lose 3-0. And I've said this before. Don't go. I've learned my lesson, especially in the NHL playoffs. Like, there's no reason to go. Like, home teams seem to lose every damn game, and you just go home upset, hungover, broke.
Right.
And it's like, oh, wow, that was pretty painful. But I did enjoy. I went to 3 NHL playoff games in the last couple of weeks. It was exhilarating stuff. You can't top it. Like, you really just can't top the NHL playoffs. The Dallas Mavericks are up 106-102 right now. So the original total hits at 207.5. Yet I might have played myself by betting the 212.5. Are we going to get there? Depending on the foul situation here, but looks like Dallas are about to take a 1-0 series lead here, Cam, in this series. I am on the Dallas Mavericks at least plus the points.
Good call. I'm going to say this. This is a great betting opportunity, in my opinion, from our old buddy Mark Lawrence. I think now you get a price on the Timberwolves. We said the price was too big at the start. I still think the series will go the distance. I like Minnesota. I'm riding them to the end. One game does not make a series, and now we will get a better number on them. So if you like Minnesota, I'd take it now when they're down 1-0.
Man, I thought this was such a toss-up. I was sort of leaning with Minnesota, but then I'm like, man, Luka and Kyrie are next level. And my concern with Minnesota, I talked about this with Mo Khan last night at level 3. I started buying in Dallas because I was just, Minnesota have these offensive droughts at times. They're such a good defensive team, but you've got Anthony Edwards. You're putting a lot of weight on him. Like, basically, if Anthony Edwards doesn't score, the T-Wolves are screwed. And they've got Karl Anthony Towns. He's going to score. But you're counting on a lot of other dudes that offensively they can be challenged at times. And this pace is playing to Dallas's liking, the game going over the number here. Still 17.5 seconds left in this basketball game. 106-102. I got to cry home. We got to get this to 213 somehow. But I took a parlay, Cam. I played 2 parlays. We talked about it last night. Both NHL playoff series is over 5.5 games. And I played another one. The Indiana Pacers plus 3.5 games. And the Dallas Mavericks plus 2.5 games in the series. So I just got to win 2 games with the Mavericks. Right? He goes to 6, I win the bet. And I got to win 1 bet.
I love
one
that
game
bet.
with the Pacers.
Hey, man, I got to get it. Oh, that's
it's minus
amazing.
164.
That's
it's
fine.
not even that much. I'll tell you what
We're
it
gonna
is
win a
right
game at
now.
home. And I love the NHL play. Like, just because Florida won tonight, it was 3-0. Bobrovsky stood on his head. For anybody not watching, like, that was one of the best games I've seen him play in a while, like diving all over the place. Shesterkin was good, but the Rangers had an own goal, too. The defenseman.
The Rangers are in trouble,
net.
Cam, though. Let's just be real.
No, I like Florida. That's why I hedged out, buddy. I told you, I'm scared of these cats. Like, the Florida Panthers, the problem with them is they're a bully that backs it up. Like, the Rangers, they have tough guys, Trouba, stuff like they want to bang on. Florida's like, let's roll. They got Kachuk.
You know what the thing with Florida is, Cam?
They're mean.
The thing with the Panthers, you're right. They're physical, they're tough, they forecheck, they crash, they bang, but they can score. The thing with the Panthers, they can win different styles of games. Not a lot of teams can say that. Like, they can win 1-0, 3-0. They can win 5-4. They could. You want to skate and play skilled hockey? We can do that. We got a bunch of skilled dudes. You want to fight? You want to brawl? We could do that. We got tough dudes. Like, they're really balanced at all ends. They can do it all. And the Rangers have lived on special teams in the postseason so far, point blank. And let's not forget too. Let's not forget. You got to foul them, man. What the hell are you guys doing? God, you're slow with that. Let's not forget the Rangers played the Capitals. They kind of got a free pass in the first round. So you play the Capitals. It didn't challenge you very much. Nice series against the Canes. The Canes aren't the most offensive team. They're not as deep as the Panthers are. The Rangers aren't a very deep team either. They've got a bunch of good players at the top end, but they're kind of thin as the game goes on. They rely on Kreider so much. It's going to be tough for them to beat Florida. Florida are going to win the series.
Florida's never been healthier, Gabe. Let's remember, Ekblad, one of the best defensemen in the league, was injured before. They've had stars that were playing with broken bones and things. They've never been fresher, even though everybody gets hurt in hockey, and that's a dangerous recipe for the Rangers, a healthy Panther team that's already tough. They're deep.
I hope they could win 2 games. They should be able to. It's not a lock, though. I like my NBA one better.
Yeah, me too.
The Pacers are plus 3.5 games in the series. It's only minus 400. Very good parlay material.